Good morning to everybody who is in the west of us, and good evening or afternoon to everybody who is east of us in London. We're perfectly well placed in the middle of both time zones for this exercise, and I'm delighted to have such a large audience. And I'm really happy that you've joined us as well for this. What I'm going to do is just a few words on the DPU, a little bit about its history and a little bit about UCL. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if this works. Okay, so we're part of the DPU. We're part of the Bartlett faculty of the built environment. I've been working with DPU for many, many years. So have some of my colleagues. We do have a staying power. DPU is a very welcoming, friendly place with people from all over the world, not only amongst the staff, but among students, as you will see in a minute. We're part of a bigger thing, which is the Bartlett Faculty of the Built Environment. UCL, which is the university that you will be coming to, it's founded in 1826. It was the first university to be established in England after Oxford and Cambridge. What is central to UCL is still central to us and DPU, which is a primary concern with inclusion. UCL was the first university in England to admit students regardless of race, class, religion, gender. And it's a proud tradition that we nurture today. So we are in DPU sort of heirs to that tradition. UCL is also a center of excellence with loads of, I think 29 Nobel Prize winners at the last count. It's consistently ranked among the top universities in the world. This year we're ranked number 10. And it's also very highly ranked for research. We're top for research strength in the last exercise that the British government conducts on a regular basis. The DPU itself was founded 66 years ago. For those of you who are architects would know, the Architectural Association. But then it came to UCL in 1971. And as you know, we teach in the fields of urban regional planning and national and development more generally. We are essentially a multidisciplinary and comparative research and consultancy unit. We work across the world, Africa, Asia, Middle East, and Latin America. We work less so in the developed world, in inverted commas, but we do make reference to case studies there. The staff is very diverse. We have 25 full-time academic staff, 15 part-time lecturers, 8 academic assistants, 10 administrative staff. We come from well over a dozen different countries. I myself, I'm Colombian by origin. I've lived in this country for a long time, most of my professional life indeed, but I am Colombian, and a lot of my work is on Colombia, Latin America, a little bit in Africa and Asia. And the same goes for most of my colleagues. We do have international outlooks with quite a diverse sort of origins and multidisciplinary backgrounds or disciplinary backgrounds. We're supported and we're delighted to have with us a number of research fellows. We have a very large research program, which I'll talk about in a minute. We also invite visiting scholars to us to be with us for periods of anything between 3 months and a year. We work in close collaboration with not only our former colleagues in DPU Associates, but with partners everywhere in the world. And we have a central vision of how we want to change the world, and thankfully, in many ways, our students who, or former students who are now working in different organizations in local government, national government, NGOs, institutions like the World Bank and so on, to a large extent mirror that vision, which is that of a just world in which women and men are equally able to choose, plan, and manage their own lives and that of their communities, as well as to influence local, national, and global development in ways that are politically, economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable. It's a very ambitious one, but one that I think we're carrying out through research, through our teaching, through our engagement with partners in different parts of the world. So, for example, we do this by building capacity of professional institutions, people like yourselves, but also elsewhere, by designing and implementing innovative, sustainable, inclusive strategies at local level. So there's a lot of policy work and policy advice with international organizations, local governments, national governments, World Bank, and so on. And in London, we do have 7 MSc programs. So most of you would have applied to one of them, or perhaps the MPhil PhD program. We have this capacity and building advisory work. We do quite a lot of research, which you can get glimpses of on our website and the publications that we do. We share that knowledge through a series of media, webinars, lectures, of course, scholarly publications, policy briefings, and so on. The student profile is quite varied. You can't see yourselves right now, but hopefully when you meet in your own breakout groups, you'll get a chance of who's at least represented in this group. We get about over 200 new students every year, with a few students continuing from previous years. It tends to be a small minority, and they tend to be from over 50 nationalities. Last year, or this present year, we had 57 nationalities. So it's quite a varied, and it's a fantastic source of enrichment for ourselves, but for yourselves as well, for the students among themselves. We have a PhD program where we take on 8 to 10 new students every year, a range of topics which mirror the research interests that we have, and again, broad range of nationalities. These are the 7 MSc programs that we have, and you would have applied to one of them. In some cases, I know some people would have applied to 2, but at some point you have to make up your minds about which one you're joining. And we conduct our research, and we organize our research in what we call research clusters. And here are the titles: Urban Transformations, Environmental Justice, Urbanization, Resilience, State and Market, Governance and Policy for Development, and Diversity, Social Complexity, and Plan Interventions. These mirror or reflect our interests in these areas, and they're essentially organizing spaces for us to share ideas. But we also do quite a lot of research with all our research is with international collaborators. We believe in having partnerships with equivalents, as my colleague and former DPU Director Karen Levy has put it, in the sense that there's a huge respect with institutions that we work with. We respect each other on a horizontal level. It's not us parachuting and doing research, extracting data, and then coming back to London to write it up. It's long-term engagement with these colleagues, and some of you may know of our work in that sense. And we're very keen to strengthen institutional research and policy capacity in different countries. Hopefully some of that will come up in the discussions in your own programs. We have, sorry, I just clicked too much. We have courses, very short courses, specialist courses in London and abroad, although those tend to be very rare these days because we're too busy with teaching and we're too busy with research. We do occasionally consultancy as a way of enriching our own knowledge and our policy reach for institutions like the World Bank, like UN Habitat and others. And we, of course, share a lot of these through a number of outlets, which you would have come across, the website, of course, webinars that some of you would have already been part of. We have in-house a series of lecture series, breakfasts, seminars, conferences. There's a 6-monthly newsletter called DPU News, lots of scholarly and policy publications and so on. I'm delighted to welcome you to this event. I hope I will be able to meet you in London at some point. The pandemic will probably recede at some point, but more about joining us in London later from the Q&A. And in the meantime, my colleague, Michael Walls, Professor Michael Walls, who will be my successor. So I'm stepping down as director of the DPU on the 1st of September. Michael will take over. The difference for those of you is that we're almost identical at this distance. I'm wearing a blue shirt, he's wearing a white shirt. But other than that, you know, he's a much more bright person than I am. And he will do a fantastic job in carrying this forward. So delighted to welcome you all.